Are we back to making full-length videos over multi-second comments that are way exaggerated and kind of unnecessary? Hell yeah! You know why? Because I actually do think there's a good conversation to have about this overarching idea that extends beyond just the chirp itself. So you already know from the title, from the thumbnail, today we're talking about the Toronto Maple Leafs and one Willy Styles, baby, because there were a few comments that he made regarding the Toronto Maple Leafs and the process in which he will start out the 2024-2025 season. You see, long story short, one of the biggest stories of the Toronto Maple Leafs the past 24 hours is the fact that William Nylander is going to have a significant opportunity to play hockey at center. And this is a pretty good thing, I would say. We can get into why as the video goes on, but the entire Toronto media world was buzzing with this entire thing. You can see all the articles that were written about it yesterday. But yesterday as well, there was a media interview with William Nylander, wherein the folks on the microphones asked him about this new experiment. They asked him about playing at center, and they also asked him about his past. Because in former years, William Nylander has had some goes at center. However, the most recent one from last year didn't really see him explore the role all too much. This is why when Nylander talks about the shift over to center, he says, "I'm excited. I think that I told Craig Berube that the most important thing is, like, you can't just play one game if you want to try center. So we agree on that. Give it a go, and hopefully it goes well." One of the interviewers then asks Willy Styles, "Why do you think the experiment didn't last very long last camp?" And then Nylander asks for some clarification. "How many games did I play? 1 or 2, I think." And then he says this, "You might have to ask my old coach about that." Oh baby, that's a comment, eh? I love it. You know, it's not too blunt, but it's not too light either. It's like right in that sweet spot of being like, okay, I see what you're saying there, William Nylander. You're not gonna let Sheldon Keefe get away unscathed here, because he definitely was the guy who was in charge of that decision last year. And from the way Willy is talking about it, from the way he seems motivated to get into this position, it seems like he was unhappy with the way that he only lasted a game or two at center with Sheldon Keefe at the helm last year. Might I remind you that when William Nylander was drafted by the Toronto Maple Leafs in 2014, he was primarily, like, used as a center in both the Moto and the Marlies systems, I'm pretty sure. Like, of course, 2014 was a decade ago, which kind of sounds weird to me now when I say it. Yeah, it's literally a decade ago. That's crazy. But either way, back from that time frame, I do remember watching quite a bit of footage of Moto hockey and some Marlies footage, I'm pretty sure, where Nylander was primarily used at sea. And heading into the next few years, it was kind of like, okay, well, the Maple Leafs, they have Tyler Bozak, they've got William Nylander, Marner can play center, and they also have Austin Matthews, so that's going to be great. And then Nylander moved to the wing, and Marner played in the wing in his final London Knights year, and Matthews was a center, so that kind of stuck around. But William Nylander has everything he needs to become an effective center at the NHL level. He plays with pace, he can command respect down the middle of the ice, and he's definitely responsible on his back-checking. Of course, on the wings, you can play more of an east-west kind of game. You're allowed the opportunity to do that because you don't have much responsibility down the middle, but at center, you're playing more north-south. And Nylander, with his mobility being so strong, I definitely think that he's capable of continuing in that sort of a playing style in an effective way. So, to see him talking about how he wants this opportunity, he wants to be relied upon down the middle, Craig Berube is going to give him that opportunity. And Berube did go out there and say this: "We have to give Nylander opportunity and time. We'll see him in an exhibition game down the road, play a few games, see how he feels. But we'll also be watching. You're playing in your own end down low, breakouts, working to get back quick and to help the defense. It's the details that take more time." And that certainly is true. I think, though, if there's anybody more equipped on the Maple Leafs roster to make that transition and play a significant role at sea, it is William Nylander. And the best part about this is it gives a few extra options to the rest of the guys on that forward core. John Tavares, he's kinda getting slow. And that was not really like ever a strong part of his game, his mobility, his skating, even back when he was drafted. He was so good, so talented in the OHL. A lot of people said he could have become the next Crosby if he just had better skating. His skills, his IQ, his vision, his shooting, it was all great, but the man just could not move. It's honestly what held Tavares back from becoming a generational caliber talent. I mean, he had years where he was near the top of the NHL in points. That Jamie Benn 80-something point year in 2014 will always stand out to me, but John Tavares is getting a little bit older, and what was already a guy who couldn't really move all too fast is now getting slower. So if you move him to the wing, he doesn't have that same north-south responsibility. He doesn't have to pace himself further down the middle of the ice. He can just kind of hang out on the perimeter, backcheck not as strongly as he needs to if he's a center, and give William Nylander, the guy with more wheels and a lot more youthful exuberance, that opportunity to shine instead. Who would have known, man? John Tavares loses the captaincy and his center spot in the same offseason, and then you also have some other options that the Maple Leafs could explore too. You've got Max Domi in there, you have a few extra guys that could waltz around, and so honestly, I do think this is a really good idea, a good experiment if I've ever seen one. It is just kind of mind-boggling, though, when you acknowledge that Sheldon Keefe had the opportunity to go down this path, he just didn't really see it. He didn't believe in it, and Nylander seems pretty regretful about that. Why didn't you get any more games? Well, you're gonna have to ask my coach about that. Ask my old coach who is now in New Jersey after the way he fell out with the organization. But either way, I want you to let me know your thoughts in the comment section below, not just about the comments Nylander made throwing a subtle jab at Sheldon Keefe, but also what are your thoughts on the center experiment? Do you think Nylander at sea is a good move? Do you think this would be good for a guy like John Tavares? Do you think this opens up the door for some more flexibility and more spread out scoring throughout the lineup? Is this really that big of a deal? I mean, there are a bunch of articles and a whole bunch of people talking about, oh, Nylander at center, but like, is that really all too justified? Do you think this is like that big of a story? I'm not gonna lie, I'm trying to capitalize on how hot of a story this seems to be by taking advantage of the fact that he kind of threw a subtle jab at Sheldon Keefe. But is this really that big of a deal? Do you think the Toronto Maple Leafs are going to be better, worse, or just kind of the same, shifting Nylander over to the middle? Or do you think this will have a much more bigger impact on the team as a whole than I'm letting on? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below if you're a Toronto Maple Leafs fan. The video interview on the TSN broadcast, it's on Twitter. It'll be on the description links below if you want to go ahead and listen to that yourself. He kind of lets out a big smirk after he makes that Sheldon Keefe comment. It's pretty great. But either way, let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. I hope you enjoyed this video. And bye.